Hello everyone, myself Dr. Parth Goswami, and today I am going to teach you a very important topic from respiratory pathology, that is a pneumonia. So this is the part 1 of pneumonia. Let's begin with the definition. So the pneumonia means inflammation, usually associated with infection. So it's the inflammation of lung parenchyma, particularly distal to the terminal bronchiole. So it's an inflammation of lung parenchyma distal to the terminal bronchiole. That is the definition of pneumonia. Because of, if we talk about the complete definition, then because of inflammation of lung parenchyma, there will be lung alveoli which will be filled with inflammatory exudate. Because of inflammation of lung parenchyma, lung alveoli will be filled with inflammatory exudates. There is a lots of inflammatory cell, so it will fill the alveoli, that will result in lung solidification. You can imagine that if there is a too much inflammatory cell, then they will form the push, and so the elastic lung will get converted into solidified lung. There will be solidification, which is known by the name consolidation as well. So because of lung alveoli filled with inflammatory exudate, there will be solidification of the lung, and this is called a pneumonia. This is the complete definition of pneumonia, right? So that's about the definition. All right. Now, friends, before understanding the etiology of pneumonia, you should be familiar with five normal lung defense that is protective against the pneumonia. Why normal person doesn't get pneumonia? Because one is systemic defense. We have in our body, we have the innate and adaptive immunity. Innate means present from birth, and adaptive means the immunity that is acquired later on in the life. So that systemic defense protect against the pneumonia. Second one is nasopharyngeal filtration. Our nasopharynx filter the foreign material and bacteria. Third is mucociliary function of the airway. The mucus and the cilia will expel out the foreign material, bacteria, like that of mucociliary function. That is a very important. Fourth one is that in the alveoli there is a presence of macrophage, and macrophage are powerful phagocytic cell. They will do the phagocytosis of foreign material or infective bacteria or viruses. Fifth defense against the pneumonia is immunoglobulin production, especially secretory IgA variety of antibody. Because of these five normal lung defense, you know, lung is usually free from the bacteria and the pneumonia is prevented. So that is the five normal lung defense against the pneumonia. Because of these five reasons, pneumonia doesn't develop in normal individual. But but there are certain predisposing factor, risk factor, which will favor the pneumonia. So obviously there could be two group of predisposing factor. One is impaired systemic host defense. Suppose your systemic defense is defective, innate and adaptive immunity is not working, right? And the second one could be impaired local lung defense. So there could be two predisposing factor lead to development of pneumonia. All right. Now, first, let's begin with impaired systemic host defense that favor the pneumonia. Which are the systemic factor that which impaired can lead to development of pneumonia? So, first is chronic disease. If the patient is having chronic disease like that of TB, cancer, and HIV, then it predisposed for the development of pneumonia. Second one is immunological deficiency. Immunological deficiency like that of immunological deficiency could be congenital or acquired. Congenital or acquired immunological deficiency, but deficiency of what? Deficiency of immunity, deficiency of innate or adaptive immunity, means immunity could be defective from birth or later on in the life. So congenital or acquired deficiency of innate or adaptive immunity lead to immunological deficiency and predispose for the pneumonia development. Third, impaired systemic host defense could be if patient is taking immunosuppressive drug. if patient is on immunosuppressive drug therapy. Which are the drug which will suppress the immunity? So the main drug is steroid, long use of steroid, and methotrexate like that of anti-cancer drug. So immunosuppressive drug could be responsible for the development of pneumonia. Fourth one is leukopenia. Leukocyte doing the phagocytosis, and they will prevent from the pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia. So leukopenia can predispose for the pneumonia development. And fifth one is HIV. HIV is a immunodeficiency disorder, so also it can favor the pneumonia. So all these impaired systemic host defense favor the lung infection like that of pneumonia. All right. Now let's see the second predisposing factor, that is the impaired local lung defense that favor the pneumonia development. So the first local lung defense could be decrease or loss of cough reflex. If the patient's cough reflex is not proper, like that in condition anesthesia, in the case of an comatose patient, if the patient is having severe degree of chest pain because of trauma or surgery, if patient is having neuromuscular disease, if patient is taking certain drugs, if patient is of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and if the patient is having kyphoscoliosis, all that factor will decrease or lose the cough reflex. So normal cough is impaired. Cough will expel out the bacteria and the foreign materials. So if the cough reflex is impaired, then it can favor the pneumonia, because the bacteria or foreign material will not expel out. Okay, second one is mucociliary function defective. If local mucociliary function is not proper, then also it favor the pneumonia. So mucociliary function decreases in case of an smoking, then in case of an viral infection, then in case of an inhalation of corrosive gases. Corrosive gas can also impair the mucociliary action of respiratory tract. Then certain genetic condition can affect the cilia function, like that of immotile cilia syndrome, Cartagena syndrome. So that Cartagena syndrome can impair the motility of cilia. So genetic factor also could be responsible for affection of the cilia function. All right. Now third impaired local factor that can lead to development of pneumonia is the excessive secretion accumulation. It is particularly observed in case of an cystic fibrosis patient and bronchial obstruction. In these two conditions, there is a excessive secretions accumulated in the respiratory tract. Fourth impaired local lung defense is, reduction in the macrophage function. If macrophage is not functioning properly, then they will not able to do the phagocytosis, and so the bacteria will not be removed from the respiratory tract, and it can lead to pneumonia development. So it can happen in case of an smoking, then alcohol, less oxygen, if arterial oxygen saturation is decreasing, if excessive oxygen toxicity in the body, then also it can impair the macrophage function and anemia. All these five factors can lead to defective macrophage phagocytic function. The fifth factor is altered consciousness. If the patient is comatose, if the patient is not conscious, like in case of an coma, if patient is having severe trauma, severe traumatic patient, then if the patient is having seizures, if the patient has suffered from any cardiovascular accident like that of paraplegia and CV stroke, etc., and if the patient has taken the overdose of drug, all that condition will alter the consciousness, and so the cough reflex is defective, and that's why alcohol, that's why the pneumonia can be developed because of altered cough reflex. Sixth one is pulmonary congestion and edema. That can also favor the pneumonia. So these are the local factors, if impaired, they can favor the pneumonia. Now, route of entry of the causative agent, which are the route of entry of the microorganism. So first is inhalation of the microbe from the airway, from the air. First mode of spread is inhalation. First route is inhalation. Second could be, aspiration of oropharynx or nasopharyngeal content. Aspiration of oropharyngeal or nasopharyngeal content. Third one is hematogenous spread. You have the infection distally somewhere in the body, but through the blood it can spread to the lung, which is a very rare route, but it can be possible, hematogenous spread, particularly if the patient is having defective immunity. All right. Fourth one is, the fourth route of entry is a direct spread of bacteria from the adjoining site of infection. Direct spread can occur from the adjacent site of infection. All right. Now let's see the pneumonia classification. How will you classify the pneumonia? So it could be classified according to the various mode. The first one is according to the anatomical region involved in the lung. According to anatomical region involvement, pneumonia can be classified as either lobar pneumonia. Lobar pneumonia means whole lobe or the majority of the part of the lobe of lung is involved. Or it could be bronchopneumonia, means only a portion of lobe is involved. There will be patchy focus of infection, that is bronchopneumonia. And the third category is interstitial pneumonia, means the inflammation is present in interstitium. So according to anatomical region involved, it could be divided as lobar, broncho and interstitial pneumonia. Now, according to the etiological factor involved in the pneumonia development, it could be classified into three categories. So etiological classification could be bacterial pneumonia, either it could be viral pneumonia, or it could be pneumonia due to other etiological factor like that of fungal pneumonia. So second mode of classification is etiological classification. Third way of classifying the pneumonia is according to the clinical setting where the infection occurred to the patient. According to the clinical setting where the patient acquired the infection, according to it could be classified into four categories. Suppose if the patient acquired the pneumonia while living in the community, while living in its own home in the community, then it is known as an community acquired pneumonia. Because pneumonia acquired from the community. So one classification group is community acquired pneumonia. Second one is if the patient acquired pneumonia in the hospital. So it is known by the name hospital acquired pneumonia. So it is hospital acquired pneumonia. It is also known by the name nosocomial pneumonia. All right. Now third category is, healthcare associated pneumonia. If it is associated with healthcare, then it is known by the name healthcare associated pneumonia. And the fourth category is if the patient is on ventilator, then ventilator associated pneumonia. If proper aseptic precaution is not taken, then it is known by the name ventilator associated pneumonia. So these are the four category according to the clinical settings. So these are the three main group of classification of pneumonia. Fourth category of classification is pneumonia in the immunocompromised host, right? Then fifth group of classification is chronic pneumonia. Usually pneumonia is an acute inflammation of lung parenchyma, but sometimes it can be chronic. Particular example of chronic pneumonia is fungal pneumonia. All right. Sixth category is necrotizing pneumonia, lung abscess associated pneumonia, right? Seventh group of category is aspiration pneumonia. If pneumonia developed due to aspiration of nasopharyngeal or oropharyngeal content, then it is known by the name aspiration pneumonia. So these are the seven group of classification of pneumonia, right? Among which most commonly used one is according to anatomical region of involvement, that is a lobar pneumonia or bronchopneumonia. So this is the seven group of classification. Kindly remember it. It's a most IMP short note as well in the exam. Now let's understand some of the organism causing the pneumonia. First, pneumococcus. You know, pneumococcus is the most common cause of community acquired pneumonia. The pneumococcus is a gram-positive lancet-shaped diplococcus. You know, it's a diplococcus. Now, the vaccine against the pneumococci is available. Nowadays, the vaccine is available. In the children, usually pneumococcal vaccine is given. So, pneumococcal pneumonia will not develop in vaccinated individual. Then normal endogenous flora. The pneumococcus is a normal endogenous flora of our body as well. It is also known by the another name, that is a streptococcus pneumonia. You know, it's basically a streptococcus group of family. All right. All right. Now, second causative agent, Haemophilus influenza. This Haemophilus influenza is a gram-negative organism. You know, there are 6 serotype of Haemophilus influenza is identified, particularly of the encapsulated variant. You know, the encapsulated form of Haemophilus influenza could be of 6 serotype, type A to F, and among which type A and B is the most commonly involved. Type B is the most virulent variant of influenza. You know, type AB infection is common, but if we talk about more virulency, then it is of type B variety of Haemophilus influenza. You know, it's the most common cause of bacterial pneumonia in the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease patient. In the COPD patient, bacterial pneumonia could be mainly because of Haemophilus influenza, and vaccine against Haemophilus influenza also available. So it's a preventable disease, you know. Then in the pediatric patient less than 5 year of age group, it is a common cause of meningitis. Meningitis means inflammation of brain meninges. You know, in the less than 5 year of age group, it's a common cause of meningitis. In the old patient, usually immunocompromised host, the metastasis of infection to the other organ can occur. You know, it can spread to the other organ. All right. Now let's understand about the Moraxella catarrhalis. So this particular organism commonly infect elder patient. You know, elder patient affected commonly, and you know, it's the second most common cause of bacterial pneumonia in the COPD patient. The first common cause was Haemophilus influenza. This one is the second cause of bacterial pneumonia in the COPD patient. All right. Now, friends, let's discuss one interesting fact. You know, Streptococcus pneumonia, then Haemophilus influenza, you know, pneumococcus, then Haemophilus influenza, and third one is this one, Moraxella catarrhalis. These three particular organism, you know, these three bacteria, these three organism are the most common cause of, you know, these three are the most common cause of otitis media in the children. They are the most common cause of otitis media in the children. All right. Now, Klebsiella pneumonia. So this organism is a gram-negative bacteria. You know, it is a group of enterobacteria. It commonly infect the debilitated, malnourished, and alcoholic patient. Alcoholic patient. The most characteristic feature of this Klebsiella pneumonia infection induced pneumonia is that patient is having very thick mucoid sputum. It can be blood stain. So such thick and mucoid sputum is very difficult to expectorate for the patient. There is a difficulty in the expectoration. All right. Now, friends, I would like to share a one interesting fact with you that if the patient is having viral respiratory infection, then you know very well that secondary bacterial infection, particularly pneumonia, can develop. So, following the viral respiratory infection, the common cause of bacterial pneumonia is Staph aureus, Staphylococcus aureus. It's a common cause of bacterial pneumonia following the viral respiratory infection. All right. Now, suppose if the patient is neutropenic, I mean, if the neutrophil count is very low, then such patient is having the more chance of development of pneumonia with Pseudomonas aeruginosa. If patient is neutropenic, then there is a more chance of pneumonia with Pseudomonas. It's a gram negative bacilli. All right. Legionella pneumonia. So this particular organism is a gram negative organism, right? And it's having the epidemic potential. It was first found in the Legion area in the Philadelphia in the 1976, and that's why the name is given. It usually sprayed by contaminated drinking water or air conditioner cooling tower. Why? Because this particular organism thrives in an aquatic environment, and that's why it's sprayed by drinking water or air conditioning cooling tower, right? Now for the diagnosis, conventional diagnostic method will not be helpful. Usually it is diagnosed with a molecular testing like that of polymerase chain reaction, right? From the sputum molecular testing is needed, or you can do a culture from the sputum. Culture is a gold standard method, but it take a 3 to 5 days, so it's not advisable. Usually molecular testing is being done. Thank you for watching, and see you soon with the part 2 of pneumonia, in which we will discuss a morphology of pneumonia. Thank you very much.